Okay, today's article that I'm taking is from the Indian Express, and it's the article written by C. Raja Mohan, and it is with respect to the U.S.-Russia summit that is going to be held in at Helsinki, and what the this C. Raja Ram Mohan is trying to basically analyze that what if this particular U.S. Russia summit is going to be, if this summit is going to be successful, then there would be dismantling of the post World War II geopolitical order. So what is this post World War II geopolitical order? We know that after the World War II, fine, there were two major powers, that is the USA and the USSR, and right after 1945 a cold war started between these two countries, and in 1991, after the disintegration of USSR, we had the dominance of USA. So the post World War II geopolitical order was such that the entire geopolitics of the world, it was basically somewhat inclined towards USA or the Western European nations. Fine. So it was like this. Even in United Nations, you can see, which was formed in 1945, just after this World War II. In United Nations Security Council, we have Russia, China, and then the countries USA and Western European nations. So we are having a kind of dominance of these Western European nations and USA in the post World War II geopolitical order. And secondly, USA and its allies, they are having a kind of foreign policy which is basically having a component, by default it is having a component which is to confront Russia, and which is very less with respect to the cooperation with Russia and its allies. For example, at present we can consider it to be China. Okay, so this is the post World War II order which we are having right now. And if this summit is going to be successful, US Russia summit, so definitely the equations are going to be changed. Okay, and the this USA other political party, and USA's bureaucracy and Western European political thinkers and pundits, they don't want this summit to be successful. So the essence of this article is this much. Let's see in detail what it is saying. So let's see. Okay, so first of all, he's saying that, see, Trump is not the first American president who is trying to, have a one-to-one dialogue with the Russian counterpart. He is not the first. The only difference of Trump compared to its predecessors, who also, tried to come to a platform and have a dialogue with Russia, the difference is that Trump has, apparent love for Russia, and which is definitely not considered good by the this Atlantic chancelleries in USA and in Western European nations. And plus this thing is there, that Trump's apparent love for Russia. And second, Trump, he don't believe in having all these organizations, NATO, G7, EU and WTO, because Trump believes that the economic cost of forming these alliances and to be a part of these alliances is much more as compared to the outcome that these alliances and these groupings are providing. And that's why we can see that Trump has withdrawn from climate change deal, that is a Paris climate change deal. Trump has withdrawn from TPP, and the nuclear deal also, although that is a different issue. But what I'm trying to say is that the different regional groupings, be it economic, be it environmental, Trump is trying to withdraw America from there, because his policy is America first. So he is just trying to have development and have progress of USA people, and he don't want USA funds to be outsourced to other nations and other groupings. Fine. So this is the persona of Trump. And in a paradox, the punditry in Europe and North America is afraid of a successful summit between Trump and Putin. So they don't want that this summit should to be successful. Fine, because what they want is the failure of Helsinki summit between US and Russia. Fine. um okay, now there is enough. Now these lines can be complicated for someone who are beginners, so let me make it clear. What they're trying to say is, see, we cannot blame Moscow alone for the kind of geopolitical world order we are having. We can see the kind of tensions we are having between USA and its allies and Russia. Fine. And in fact, after this Ukraine crisis, the conflict has basically kind of reached its peak. And many of the times this political thinkers, they say that Cold War II is going to be started, or some say that Cold War II is going on. So right now the situation between USA and Russia is very critical. And we can see in Syria as well, USA support one side and Russia is on the other side. And because of these two nations also, because these two are very important stakeholders and participants in the entire Syrian crisis going on, the conflict is not going to be end until and unless US and Russia, they are going to cooperate, or they are going to come to a platform and have a dialogue, and then have a solution with respect to that. So in fact, the entire geopolitical order is definitely going to be changed if US and Russia, they somehow try to cooperate with each other. Fine. So this is the thing. Now, so they are saying that we cannot blame this, whatever the conflictual situation between US and Russia is, we cannot all alone blame on Russia, because after this World War II, USA was busy in maintaining and professing its own superiority, that its ideology and its doctrines are supreme. Fine. And it didn't pay heed to the insecurity and to the this demands of Russia. Fine, because Russia also wanted to acquire a position which was at least comparable to former USSR. Fine, so it also wanted to have that power in his hand, and in the quest of that power, Russia had conflicts with the Eastern European nations, as well as with the Western European nations, and with USA as also. So this is the thing, that both are actually they are equally responsible for the kind of conflict they are having. And so that is why this dialogue, this summit, is obviously a welcome move, and it should be there. So what else? Yeah. And he's saying that the promise and peril of the Helsinki summit comes from the fact that US president is ready to discard the conventional wisdom. See, I have told earlier also that Trump, he is against this conventional wisdom that Russia should be present all across the globe. Russia should be there in Afghanistan. Russia should be there in in East Asia to provide security to the small nations, and Russia should be funding climate change deals and all. USA under Trump right now, basically Trump, he is against all these things. He is against the conventional order that USA was following. So if unconventional thinking opens up new possibilities, it has. So he is saying that because of this unconventional thinking of Trump, there can be new possibilities where opportunities for USA and Russia to cooperate can be there. And so White House in an unprecedented conference. Okay, so the entire American foreign policy establishment basically is facing a challenge. Why challenge? Because just after World War II, fine, USA foreign policy establishment, they had a by default component within their foreign policy, and that is that confront Russia at each and every level, Russia and its allies. Fine. But if this USA and Russia summit, it becomes successful, and USA and Russia, they try to cooperate with each other, so definitely the foreign policy establishments are facing a challenge with respect to the new kind of foreign policy they need to make. Fine. So this is the thing. Now And one more thing is there, that although with respect to the summit, Putin is, this supported by the people and by the establishment in his own country, but in USA, the administration and the intelligence, they are against Trump, because they considered that Russian intelligence, they played a major role in election of Trump as USA president. Fine. And that's why they consider that Trump might not be, might not be in a state to protect USA's sovereignty, and can endanger its sovereignty at the hands of Russia. So that's why they don't want the summit to be successful. Now, and the leaders of the Democratic Party, they are convinced that it was Russian interference. Fine. The Democratic Party leaders, they are very sure that Russian interference was there in this elections, and the victory of Donald Trump as USA president. Fine. And they are very hopeful that one day FBI investigation, they will come up and they will say that yes, Donald Trump election was basically rigged and was supported by this Russian groups and teams and all these things. Fine. So the thing is this: the Democratic Party and other intelligence agencies, they don't trust Trump and his efforts, or whatever kind of policies he's basically pursuing. So Trump is not, but Trump is Trump, and he is not backing off. And he is betting that much in the manner that the American people have supported his Korean diplomacy, they would back his outreach to Russia. So Trump is basically means he is very confident, and he thinks that because American people, they have supported his approach towards North America, so they will also support his outreach to Russia. Now, three themes are likely to dominate this Helsinki summit. Fine. One is the question of non-interference in intervention in each other's internal affairs. Three themes means what? The three most important outcomes can be there from this Helsinki summit. The first is that both Russia and USA, they will not intervene in each other's internal affairs, because both the countries, USA and Russia, they have alleged each other that their officials and their officials are acting as a spies in USA or something like that. And because of that, many of the sanctions have been put, by both countries against each other. So the first thing is this non-intervention. Second is potential cooperation on regional issues in Central Europe, Middle East and Asia. Second can be that both these countries, they can cooperate with each other, for example in resolving the Syrian crisis. Fine. And in entire Asia. Fine. So this is there. And if both these countries, they basically agree to cooperate with each other, then it would also open the pathway for the reintegration of Russia into such forums, G7 and NATO, because we know that Russia has been suspended from G8 and now it is G7 because Russia has been suspended. Fine. So obviously there can be reintegration of Russia into these forums. And in the Middle East, US-Russia cooperation could help stabilize the region. Fine. Because of the kind of religious extremism that is there in Middle East region, and the proxy wars that are basically going on between Iran and Saudi Arabia, because we know that Russia support Iran and USA support Saudi Arabia. So these kinds of bloc formation would not be there if both these countries are going to cooperate. I think it is a very optimistic view. This is very radical, but at least some sort of modest cooperation can be there. Third, beyond the regional questions, Trump and Putin would want to address old issues of nuclear and conventional arms control, as well as new ones such as regulating cyber warfare. See, cyber warfare is one aspect of cyber security, and in cyber warfare, what happens? Countries, basically state sponsored cyber crime, you can say that countries, for example USA, it tries to have some information from the Russian official documents or something like that, so it will keep its spy, not the spy, but it will try to have extract out the information from the Russian computers, and also basically state sponsored cyber crime it is. So obviously there will be talks with respect to this as well. And So he is saying that, okay, so these kind of things are definitely going to have a positive note with respect to US and Russia relationship. And apart from that, mm okay, so this is these lines, they are basically focusing that what actually Trump wants. Trump wants America first, and he basically argues that the cost of leading the liberal international order have been too high for the American people. He don't want America to involve in each and every matter across the globe. He just want America to focus on the issues of American people, because the economic cost, not only economic, in fact the overall cost that America bear because of these, American adventures and American, involvement in different treaties and organization is too high, and because of which American economy is going down. America's people are not having that kind of development that they could have. Fine. So this is the focus of Donald Trump. Now, okay, so what impact or what implication India could have? See, if this summit is going to survive and if the summit is going to be successful, then many of the key Eurasian actors, including India, will have to take much larger responsibility for shaping the regional order, because definitely the regional order is going to be changed, and India needs to, have a very important role in that. Fine. And if the idea of a coherent political and economic West becomes unsustainable under Trump, there is much trouble ahead for alliances designed to defend the West and coalitions built to defy it. What these lines means? See, if this summit or the efforts of Trump with respect to USA and Russia cooperation are going to be a failure, then there are very, this feeble chances that in future USA and Russia can cooperate. Fine, things are definitely going to be messy, and there will be more trouble for alliances designed to defend the West, because mostly USA and Western European nations, they form alliances. Fine, for example NATO. Fine, so these kind of alliances are made, and coalitions are made to defy these alliances. Coalition in the form of Russia, China. Fine, they are forming a coalition so as to stand against the alliance formed by the USA. Fine, so alliances and coalitions, they are not going to work. In fact, the conflict and the tussle is going to be more complex if efforts of Trump with respect to US Russia cooperation and dialogue is going to be failed. So this was a conclusion of this article of C. Raja Ram Mohan. And with respect to international relations, there is no more article in Indian Express or even in the Hindu. So thank you.